Welcome to Fundamentals of Production Advanced Lab Video 3. In this video, we are working on our straps. So piece number 8 are two long rectangles. These are your strap pieces. So here's what we're going to do with them. I've already completed this piece. We're going to fold it in half, hot dog style, and pin along the stitch line. So I'm just going to flip this to right side so I can match right sides together. And now I'm ready to pin. So for this one, I'm going to start at each corner, match up my corners, just like this, and pin across. Making sure that the pin goes into the seam allowance line and out on both sides so they're all matched up. So I'm going to do one corner, and then I'm going to do the other corner. For this piece, we don't have a notch in the middle, but I'm going to do my next pin in the middle anyway, just to help even this out. So I'm going to kind of pull this together and find my middle, roughly, and do a pin there. Okay, so the rest of this is just pinning, so why don't we montage our way through this step? Okay, once you have both straps pinned together, we're ready to take them to the sewing machine. So now I'm at the sewing machine, ready to start stitching. And all we're going to do is stitch down this one long line. Do not stitch across the shorter ends on either side. We're just doing a regular stitch length, and you do want to start all the way at the edge with a back stitch. And I did a back stitch at the end. There is one piece done. Now let's do the other one. All right, so our straps are now stitched, and we need to take them to the ironing board. So now we're ready to press the seam. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to press the seam right on top of the stitches just to set those stitches. And now I want to press this seam open. This is such a small shape that when you press this open, it's going to inevitably end up creasing this part of the strap. Now, one trick you can do is when you're pressing something that's tubular is you can stick a dowel rod inside your tube as kind of a pressing surface for pressing seams open. Dowel rods are made of wood. Wood will not be harmed by the heat of the iron or the steam from the iron. At the making of this video, I did not have a dowel rod on me, so just trust me that that's a thing you can do in the future is to stick a dowel rod inside your tube and use that as a pressing surface. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to kind of open this seam while the strap is laying on its side, and I'm going to press it open this direction. And I'm going to do my best not to run the iron over this edge of the strap so I don't press an additional crease that I don't want there. Okay, so that seam is generally well pressed. I'm going to hit it from the opposite side as well just to get it nice and open since I don't have a dowel rod on hand to prevent me from accidentally creasing the other part of this tube. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that with the other piece. Again, I'm just pressing this open on one side, being careful not to run my iron over the rest of the strap just the seam that I'm trying to open. Flip it over and do the same thing. So I'm essentially, by ironing it twice, I am getting that nice open press that you would normally get when you can just go right on top. But again, I did not want to add additional creases to this part of the strap. So now what we need to do is we need to grade our seam allowance. Grade means to trim down. We want to trim it down to about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to eyeball that, and it's roughly that long. You are welcome to measure it and mark and stitch from there. Move this iron out of the way so I can see a little better. Or you can also eyeball it. Anytime that you are grading a seam, first of all, make sure that you are not accidentally cutting through anything else, just your seam. So I'm actually going to hold this up this time off of the surface so I know I'm not accidentally catching my strap. But you never want to grade anything to less than 1/8 of an inch. Really, 1/4 should be the smallest you grade something because you need that amount of seam allowance to keep your seam secure. Again, I'm eyeballing mine. And the reason we're grading this is because if we were to leave all of this seam allowance amount inside the strap when we turn this right side out, it would get very bulky. But we wanted that amount of seam allowance when we were stitching because it's much easier to sew and gives us a nice place to stitch on. So you'll grade both of your straps by trimming them down. Then the next step is we need to turn this right side out. This is a long, skinny tube. It is about the width of my finger. Like I can stick my finger in. So how do we turn these types of things right side out? The best trick is a safety pin. It works best. The longer safety pin you have, the easier this is. This is about a medium size because I don't have one of the Whopper ones on me. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of open my tube just like this, and I'm going to run my safety pin through just one layer of the fabric. And I'm going to close it off just like that. So it's only in one little section. I am now going to push the safety pin into the tube, and I can feel it there inside. And I'm just going to kind of push my fabric onto the safety pin and gently pull this end over it. It can be a little tricky to get it started, but once you get it started, it's not that bad. So now it's kind of bunching up here at the end. Push some more through, kind of gathering it onto my safety pin and pull. As I'm pulling this fabric, my left hand is holding tightly onto the safety pin through the fabric so it doesn't accidentally slip out. Just slide and shift, slide and shift. It can be a little bit of a slow process, and that's okay. There are other tools that exist in the universe for turning things, but honestly, the safety pin method is what I use the most because I don't own any of those specialty tools, and we always have safety pins available. I'm getting close to the end. As I get close to the end, I'm actually not pulling my end all the way off because this will be easier to do that in just a moment. If you have a delicate fabric, you want to make sure that you pin your safety pin through a significant length of your fabric so that you don't accidentally rip your safety pin out of the edge while you're pinning. Okay, so now my safety pin is all the way out. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. And I've got this weird glob. So all I'm going to do is hold on to the fabric. That's the opposite end. And pull just like that. And now it's all right side out. But it is a little wonky. It's not nice and straight and flat and all that. So we do want to press this again. Get my safety pin aside. Always close your safety pins. Don't leave safety pins open. So what I'm going to do now, here's my seam that I stitched. I'm going to kind of roll this seam to the side. And I really want to, as I'm pulling this together, push this seam all the way out so that it's not bunched over the edge, that these stitches is what's right here on the very edge. I'm going to do just a small section of this at a time. I'm going to roll a little bit and then press. Roll a little bit and then press. This is much easier to do when your nails are not stubby short like mine are right now, because you can use your nails to grip the fabric and pull it into place. I'm using a combination of using my fingernails to grab the fabric and pull it, and kind of rolling the edge with my fingers at the same time. And once I've got the edge all nice and pulled out, I'm going to give this a super good, super steamy press so that it lays flat and straight. And then you'll do all those steps with the other strap as well. I'm going to quickly montage through the other straps so you can see that process again, but in faster speeds. Now we're ready for our next step. Our next step is to top stitch our straps. We're going to top stitch 1/4 of an inch away on this side as well as this side. There's 2 reasons for doing that. 1, it's decorative. It kind of makes our straps look nicer. But 2, this also keeps the strap from rolling out into a different shape. This keeps it this nice flat panel instead of a tube. So I'm just going to top stitch on either side. Even though this is just top stitching, I am back stitching on either end. So I'm turn this around and top stitch the opposite side as well. Just like that. And so now this can't roll back into a tube like it could before. So let's repeat with the other piece. And you're done. Now the last step for the straps is to machine baste them to the main part of our bag. So this is my bag piece. It's currently wrong side out. I want to turn it right side out. So this is the main outside. We know this because it's got all of these wonderful pockets. So you're going to look on the inside and see in this top edge, see those notches that are there? Well, those notches are for our straps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to mark where those notches are with my pins. So as I place my straps, they're easier to see from the right side because we want to pin our straps to the right side of our fabric. I'm going to do one side and then I'll do the other. Okay, so now you can see where my pins are. That matches up with the notches on the opposite side. So our straps don't go from one side of the bag to the other. It's one strap on the same side. Okay, so I'm going to set one strap aside so I know I'm only working with one. I'm going to take this first strap and I'll lay it. And look, it matches perfectly right between those notches, just like that. I'm going to remove one of those pins and just pin this in place, just like that. Okay, so this next step, you want to make sure that you are doing very carefully because you don't want to accidentally twist your strap. So I'm going to actually move this in such a way so you can see the whole strap as I move it around to the next set of notches. So the side of your strap that is currently down, touching the bag, is the same side you want over here. So I'm going to just take this side, grab it like it is, just pull it around to the other notch. Now the bottom is going to kind of flip up like this, and that's totally fine. That is normal. I'm going to pin this in place so that it's like it's supposed to be. It's going to have this little bit of loop. But if I were to push down on this, you could see that the same side is touching all the way around. There's no twists in the strap. Okay, we're going to repeat with the opposite side. I'm going to find my notches that are on the wrong side, put some pins in so I can find them easier on the right side. Boop. And you can put your pins on either the right side or the wrong side, as long as they are lined up right over your notches. Okay, so there are those notches. I'm going to go ahead and do this so that you can see the whole strap at the same time. So here's the next strap, laying it flat on top, lining up the edge of the strap right between those notches. Those pins I used to mark my notches, I'm just going to transfer over to the strap. I'm going to grab my strap, make sure that the edge that's touching the fabric is the one that I wrap around to the other side without twisting. And then I will pin this one in place as well. Okay, so now this is pinned on. You can kind of see how the straps are going onto the bag now, just like that. Okay, we are going to take this to the machine and we are going to machine baste across these so we can take the pins out for when we do the next step. Those pins won't be in the way. So let's head back to the sewing machine. So now we're going to machine baste across these straps. We want to baste 1/4 of an inch away from the raw edge. And I'm actually going to start a little bit off of the strap so that my back stitch is on one side of the strap and my finishing back stitch is on the other. So I know that I have fully captured this strap. Okay. And I'm going to lift up my presser foot. I'm not going to bother pulling the threads out and cutting them. I'm just going to slide this down. And I've got my threads still there. I'm just going to slide down and keep going. Start with a back stitch. Remove these pins a little bit so it's not so bulky. And back stitch. Again, I'm just going to rotate around, leaving my threads. I can come back and trim them later. Right. So here's the next set of straps. Back stitch, stitch across, and the last side of my straps. Just like that. Okay, so now I've got all of these threads connecting each other. I'm just going to trim these away, and then we will be ready to bag out our bag. We're almost done, guys.